Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk. I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, joining you here from lovely New Jersey. We got some tornado warnings coming on later on today, so trying to get this recording in before we have any technical difficulties here in New Jersey. So hopefully we get this going nice and smooth. Really quickly, before I introduce my very esteemed guest, I got to throw it out there. If you're enjoying the show, do me a favor, hit those like buttons, hit those follow buttons, hit all those silly little podcast buttons that I really know nothing about, but they tell me to ask everybody to do it. And if you're really enjoying the show, hit those share buttons. If there's somebody out there that you know would like to hear this, share it with them, share it on social media, do all those different things, trying to grow the community of officials out there. Also, don't forget, you could check out the YouTube video. So if there's ever any clips or anything like that we're showing and you want to go in, you can go to youtube.com/at Mike D, the referee, and you'll be able to find all of that fun information there. So, got with me today a very special guest, a very esteemed guest. And for those of you that might be watching us on YouTube and kind of might look a little familiar to you, today I have the privilege of having Mr. Mike Pereira joining me. Mike, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, but I just was, as you were leading into this and they played the music, I was thinking, I just went to an A's game here. They were the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
But they're not the Sacramento A's. They can't call them Sacramento A's. But I do go to their games and they have walk-up music. That's a big thing now. The players, the batters, when they come up to bat the first time, they have walk-up music. That would not have been my walk-up music.
What would you have picked?
If you'd have had Sinatra singing My Way or something, I would have said, okay, maybe you did put my walk-up music there. But it's Mike D, it's good to be with you.
So I truly appreciate it. And I got to say, I wish I could do a little Frankie for you, especially being a Jersey guy myself.
Yeah,
but
right.
YouTube,
tell me
man,
you're in Hoboken and do a little Frank stuff for me.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, YouTube won't allow me to do that kind of stuff. I've already gotten in trouble because I played some music for 9/11 and tribute of the United States, and it got flagged on YouTube with the copyright infringement and everything. So I got to be mindful. So that background music there, that's just something I was able to find that's I guess free to everybody to use. So I kind of did it as my opening. So Mike today is joining us because first he's Mike Pereira. So anybody with the football world kind of is familiar with this gentleman that I have on. Mike, I actually even have your book on my shelf behind me. You can kind of see it over my shoulder in the back.
You're the other guy that bought the book. So that's two that I know.
There you go. That's two more editions than I've sold of my book, which I've never written. So you got me beat. But Mike has agreed to jump on with us today because Mike is a friend of the show, being that they just announced a recent merger between a good friend of the show, the Vets to Refs crew, and a company that Mike has founded called Battlefields to Ballfields. So, Mike, why don't you let the listeners know a little bit about the Battlefields for Ballfields program?
Yeah, it's it's something that happened back in 2016 out on the West Coast here. I go see some friends of mine that live up in Central Oregon. And so I drive from Sacramento to Central Oregon once a summer, maybe sometimes twice. And I make it a therapeutic trip in that once I get past Sacramento Airport, I turn off all noise, no music, no books on tapes, no nothing. Yeah, a little bit of road noise. My car's not that good that I can block out all noise, but I just want to kind of hear what's going on in my head, to tell you the truth. So for 6.5 hours, I just roll along and kind of think. And I was thinking about, as I almost always do officiating, I was thinking about the shortage of officials all around the country. I was also thinking about some veterans, homeless veterans that I had met a couple of weeks before, and how bad I felt, me being a guy that didn't serve. I had a father that served in
Mm-hmm.
World War II, but I didn't. A little bit of guilt, thinking about that, and then thinking all of a sudden I thought, what with veterans, what somehow would kind of carry over into officiating. And so I thought about courage, commitment, teamwork, mission, all these things. And then I thought, why, when I ran the NFL program, didn't I think more about getting veterans involved in the program? Because obviously they might hold up more than maybe some people might when they get the abuse that comes from parents and coaches and players, but mainly parents. And so I thought, could I put together a foundation that basically helps recruit veterans and pays for all their expenses that become a referee, in any sport. So, whether it's football or whatever, but their uniforms, their registration fees, pay for those, the background check, all of that stuff. My goal was to get veterans to become officials and have that very first check not go to paying off their credit card for their uniform or whatever. And then, and like sometimes, when you think of, football, there's a lot of stuff in football when you talk about short sleeve shirts, long sleeve shirts, knickers, all the stuff, but it ain't nothing like baseball. I mean, baseball, the expenses in baseball with the uniforms, with the plate shoes and the regular shoes and the masks, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to get started for, I would say, not a lot of money. So you outlay a lot, and it takes you a while to offset all that money. So um, I really kind of felt like that, an idea to do that would be worthwhile. I remember when I looked at my own Wikipedia page before that, what was I known for? I was known for being the guy that got officials out of white knickers into black pants. And if
Thank
that's
you.
my legacy in this game, if that's my legacy in life, then I got to do something better than that. And I always wanted to do something, to leave officiating, when I leave it a little bit better, and feel like I at least made a little bit of a difference. And so we've done that now since 2017. We've given 2,000 scholarships, over the course of the time, over 2,000 scholarships now, and we're in 38 different states. We have scholarship recipients in 38 different states, and it's been very rewarding. And you know what officiating is like once you get into it. The camaraderie with the members of your crew. The sense of accomplish something or doing something. And I always say this: doing something that 99.9% of the population, in this country, doesn't have the guts to do. But you get involved and you put your butt on the line, and it's like really cool. It's really cool. It's hard, it's challenging, but it's cool. So yeah, I'm very proud of what we have accomplished, and what Vets to Refs and Bill and Jeb and his guys, what they've been doing too, which is just pretty much the same thing that we have been doing. And so the fact that we have gotten together and merged our two organizations, we're Battlefields to Ballfields, they're Vets to Refs, and I actually made driver covers, golf covers, for your driver, head covers, and it says Battlefields to Ballfields, and the tagline below it says Vets to Refs.
Oh, there
So
you go.
I actually had those done a long time ago, and then along came Bill and Jeb, and we're all in this together now.
Yeah, now I had gotten hooked up with Bill, Jeb, and the gang with Vets to Refs a couple months back, maybe about a year or so ago, and just hearing about the different programs that they had going on. I myself, I'm a school teacher, and when I transitioned from coaching to officiating, here in New Jersey, we kind of, in essence, interview crews that we may be interested in joining, just try to feel them out because we have set crews here in New Jersey. And then obviously, then we're looking hopefully to get invited by that crew if a spot opens up. But the one thing that a lot of the crew, a lot of the white hats kept on saying to me is, "Oh, you're a teacher. You know how to handle the kids. You know how to deal with parents and different things like that." And so for me, it felt like a rather easy transition going from coaching while still being in teaching to being on the football field with the kids and being able to communicate with the kids and whatnot. And then when I heard about the different programs and involving veterans, and I'm like, this just makes way too much sense because if there's anybody in this world that knows how to deal with adversity, it's going to be our veterans out there for what they've done, the training that they've done, the mental standpoint that they've gone through. I think it's kind of it's almost a no brainer, and I'm happy that somebody with a brain came up with these ideas because I certainly didn't think of it initially, but it makes so much sense. And not only does it just make sense for us selfishly on the officiating side, but you're giving back. You're giving back to these veterans that have given so much for us to be in the situation that we're in, to be able to go out on a Friday night and officiate a game, for me to sit back on a Sunday afternoon and watch the NFL games and feel comfortable just sitting there and enjoying it, that these veterans put their lives on the line. So I truly love all the aspects that you guys have going on with these programs. And I pulled up here the website, Battlefields to Ballfields. So you can see there's Mr. Pereira there in a meeting here. But right on it, there's an ESPN 30 for 30 clip, and it's got all the different things here. So I'm going to share this website. It'll be on the show notes at the end, but it's Battlefields, the number 2 to ballfields.org. For those that are listening, it's definitely something that you guys and gals got to go take a look at. And again, I know my spiel. If you know anybody, share the episodes out. If you know a veteran out there that's looking for something to do, that is involved in sports or wants to get back involved in sports, share this information out to them. It's just a great thing for everybody involved.
Well said. I agree 100%. And I think that, for people that have gotten involved with it, now you're a coach, you were a coach. I don't, that's, you drive a lot of people, a lot of referees nuts
Yeah,
as
don't
a
don't
coach,
don't hold it
probably.
against me.
Yeah. But I think the magic of this is that, you're really, and Bill and Jebs and my organization did the same thing. We're basically, we're matching, veterans with the community and kids. I mean, those three things. I mean, our game's in trouble. I mean, football's in trouble right now because we are so short of officials, which is why we play on Friday nights and Thursday nights and
Yeah.
Friday nights and Saturdays, because there's not really enough officials to go around. And I don't blame them. I mean, there's so much negativity around it, and it's, but yet if we like support our veterans for 3 years, so we pay beyond their uniforms, we pay for their dues for 3 years and their NASO membership for 3 years, and then we encourage them and say, hey, look at, okay, you got involved in football, did you like it? Oh yeah, I loved it, it's great. Okay, how about you try baseball?
Yeah.
And so we give them another scholarship if they try another sport. So it's just we have to help the sport. We have to help sports basically stay alive
Mm-hmm.
because parents are driving people out of this game with their behavior, driving officials out of this game with their behavior. We have to we have to change mindsets. And I always tell officials, and you've probably heard this, but those that scream the loudest know the least. And so you've gotta like learn how to tune it out. But we have to drive some change here and get some respect back into officiating, and make people realize that we're out there doing the best we can. Are we going to make mistakes? Everybody does, right?
Yep.
Everybody does. And but it's not worth throwing a tantrum and threatening, and every parent now thinks their son's going to be Arch Manning making $6.4 million at the University of Texas. So it's like any call that goes against them, they go crazy. But that's the nature of our beast.
And you, with your history being on the field from the collegiate to the NFL, how many times did you turn to a coach and say, "Coach, why the hell did you make that call? Coach, why'd you call a draw on that play?"
Never.
Never. Exactly. Yet they always question every single call that we make. And in my mind, I'm like, I can't believe they just burned a timeout in that situation. What the heck are they thinking? But
It's
I'm
like
not going
a
to say it.
one-sided conversation, right? You can't say what you really want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's a little bit of an art, I mean, some people have lost the communication skills to get along with the coach. I mean, if I was like, a coach was mad at me for my call, I'd let him spiel, and then when he eventually settled down a little bit, I would say, "Tell me, what did you see?" And then he'll say, "Oh, well, that ball wasn't catchable. That was, there wasn't enough contact." And then I would answer him and say, "Well, if that's what happened, then you're right and I'm wrong, but I didn't see it that way." There's ways to communicate,
Yeah.
but right now you're right. It's the whole thing, professionalism. So what is professionalism? Professionalism, it means that you're supposed to sit there and take a barrage of insults from a coach. That's being professional, taking that. I don't buy it. And I mean, how many coaches did I flag over my time? I don't know, maybe one, man, and I can't even remember, when that was.
Yeah.
But you understand their passion. You understand that they have like no control over you, and that, when you're a coach, you were a coach. You control just about every aspect of your
Yeah.
team, and it's, I mean, to win a game must be euphoric. I think coach, to lose a game must be heartbreaking. But yeah, we're gonna turn the other cheek. We're gonna be professional, I guess, if you want to say that. But it is a bit of a double standard.
And unfortunately, it's something that you talk about everything kind of going downhill, everything flows downhill when the kids see the coaches acting this way. Now, in turn, the kids start talking back to the referees and to the officials on the field and stuff like that. So you see with the better programs, with the more disciplined programs, and I use the word discipline in air quotes, but programs that just have a little bit more respect for the game, their coaches treat us a little bit more respectful. Now, yeah, you're always going to have disagreements, just like human beings. We have disagreements and different points of view. But like you said, one thing I always loved, and coming from the coaching background, I initially was a short wing, so I was right on the sideline. So I had the coaches in my ear constantly. And because I had the coaching background, I was able to kind of talk coach speak with them and translate. Because the first time that I opened up the rule book and I was reading the rule book, I'm like, this is Greek to me. What the heck? I've been coaching for 20 something years, but why can't we just say the offense and the defense? But now I get it a little bit more, but now I had the ability to explain it to the coaches in a little bit more coach speak. Now, did that always iron things nice and smooth? No, because they still may have disagreed with me, but I was able to communicate with them. And like you said, all right, coach, well, I saw it a little bit differently, and we're going to move on now. We got a game to play. So, but yeah, just communicating with them, and then being able to communicate with the kids, all of those things, that's the valuable asset that myself as an educator, veterans, people that are out there that are working with people that I mean, I'm on a great crew. We have a great team. The third team on the field, my crew that I work with. And I think any veteran can attest to how important that teamwork, that ability to be able to
Right.
work with other people, it comes natural to them. So I just think that it's just a seamless type of transition in essence for
Yeah.
them. So
And the other thing too, which I think is interesting, and I remember I saw it. I just saw it, and when I came up with this thought about this foundation, I remember going to a high school basketball playoff game here in Sacramento, and it was a team from Southern California, a team from Northern California, and I know the class 1A, 2As, 3As, all this stuff. But anyways, they had three officials on the court, and they announced who the officials were going to be before the game, I thought it was just so cool when they announced Joe Dokes, the officials for tonight's game, Joe Dokes, Pete, Bavaria, and Marine veteran John Dokes. And you know what happened? The crowd applauded.
Yeah.
The crowd applauded. I mean, and these people, men and women that are veterans, bring that to our organization. We give them a little patch to wear on their chest that says U.S. veteran.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think even if you're a coach, if you put yourself on a coach and as your coaching days back, your coaching hat back on, if all of a sudden that official came up to you and has got a patch that says U.S. veteran, a little bit more respect.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. A little bit more respect for the whole crew. I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. So we have now areas in Texas where even though they're not a part of Battlefields to Ballfields because they've already been officiating, but they're a veteran, we're giving them the patches, and Tasso in Texas has agreed to let them wear them, and that's like a step toward a little bit more respect for us, actually.
that's great stuff. Now we're talking football here, but what other sports are you guys involved with the scholarship programs?
Well, I guess you could probably say, what sports are you not involved with?
Easier than that way.
We pretty much are. I've not figured out a way to get us into the MMA realm. I'm not there yet, but we basically do all the sports. I mean, we have as Bill jumps in, which is great to have Bill with us. Bill, I'm a Californian. I don't know this time change thing. This Eastern time, Pacific time. In other words, I screwed up. I should have been on earlier, but it's just been really pretty gratifying to have these people that represent veterans and who really, I think, do a lot for us. And I think Bill would agree that the average, the retention, it's one thing to recruit officials, to retain them is maybe a bigger issue. And that percentage of officials that quit after 1 or 2 years is alarming. And I think, and it's pretty natural that, ours is better. Ours is better because, that most veterans have been yelled at by tougher people than sitting on a lounge chair on the sidelines, and that's been another good aspect of it too.
Yeah, and so as Mike is referring, Bill Kroeper from Vets to Refs was able to jump on with us now. Bill, thank you for jumping on with us. How you doing today?
I'm
Bill,
doing
can
well.
you hear us?
Thank you,
There
Mike
we
D and Mike P.
That's right.
I can. There's a little delay when you talk, but yeah.
I got
we
you.
just thought you were a little slow. That's all. I mean,
I am a little slow.
It's been a long day
compared to you all, but I'm catching up.
So now, Bill, why don't you talk us through with Vets to Refs, and the listeners are familiar with Vets to Refs, but how is it that you and Battlefields to Ballfields kind of came together, and who reached out to who? How did that all work out?
Okay, I know there's a delay, but I'm here. So
Okay.
Yeah. If your listeners are familiar with Vets to Refs, I myself signed up, and then I to be a football referee, and then I signed up for Battlefields to Ballfields, and I was a recipient of one of their scholarships, and I went through that process. And of course, as I was running the other nonprofit, started to see, obviously similarities and some differences. And so I exactly don't know who reached out to who first, but I think it was myself. I think I reached out to whoever. I think it was Melissa at the time, just bouncing back information to me, and was put in contact with Mike and Bob out there, and then even with Dana Pappas, who's on the board at B2B as well. And so once, small community, tight knit group, we all take care of each other. once we started talking, we just felt the need that we should work together. And then after a couple other meetings and time went past, Mike and his group just had the idea for us to merge into B2B, and we'd take on a Midwestern representative role and continue to help veterans without like the confusion at the beginning. So we're super happy about
Yeah,
that.
and I think it was a natural fit. I actually call it, and I'm going to a meeting this afternoon, but I actually call it the new reinvented Battlefields to Ballfields. Because we with Bill and Jeb and Vets to Refs now, it fits kind of part into my plan on how I oversee Battlefields to Ballfields, which is to not just issue scholarships, and not just pay for an NASO membership, but to have a more personal relationship. And so if we can get people like Vets to Refs who will work a little more closely with the people in the Midwest, and we almost call it like the old Big Ten
Yeah.
footprint, not the current one. But if we can have people like Bill and Jeb and some other areas to where they can follow up a little bit more closely, because like I say, we are at 2,000 or so scholarships at this point, then it takes us to another level to try to keep them involved and not getting frustrated and quit. So yeah, I call it the new reinvented B2B, and we're going to go to. I'm having a meeting this afternoon, and Bill doesn't know it, but he's probably going to be hosting a golf tournament in his in his in his future coming up to maybe raise a little bit of money for our organization. And Bill's coming on our board, which is even better too, which is terrific. So the partnership to me is fantastic.
Oh, congratulations, Bill. That's awesome. So my question then, and Mike, we were kind of referring to it before Bill was able to jump on. Is I asked what sports, or I asked what sports do you do, and you said, well, what sports don't I do? And I just want to bring some attention to that, because I know you mentioned you're also working with people to maybe now pick up a secondary sport as an official, or even a tertiary sport as an official, because in New Jersey, we do have 3 seasons. We got I call football season the fall, but then there's the winter, the indoor season, and then the spring season. But my kids are heavily involved in sports in all aspects, and both of my kids play sports all 3 seasons. So my daughter plays lacrosse. She plays field hockey. She does winter track. I know with the 2 outdoor sports, the field hockey and the girls lacrosse, I see the same officials every week. Every week, it's the same 2 to 3 or 4 people that are kind of rotating around. My son plays baseball in the springtime. I'm seeing the same umpires that are out there, the same basketball officials during basketball season. So getting more exposure and working those second or third sports, that's something that your company does work with, and helping them with scholarships for that. And a lot of times the uniforms carry over from one sport to the other. So it might not be necessary for the uniform, but paying to get that class, to get that certification, different things like that. Are all those things what the scholarship money can go towards?
Sure, certainly. I mean, and I think the wonderful thing is, and I think of Jameson Pilgrim in Rochester, New York, who was really kind of a lost soul with PTSD, and what we do in officiating is never going to cure PTSD, but I did have a doctor tell me the beauty of our program when it comes to veterans with PTSD and those that are struggling is that it's a sustained diversion. It's not a 3-day weekend, where you go once a year and have these programs. This is something that, as you all know, keeps you occupied 4 days a week. I
Yeah.
mean, you could say, okay, I'm going to officiate on one game on Thursday and one game on Friday, but yeah, then you're reading the rule book every night, and then on Sundays, and you're watching NFL football, and well, let's see, what did he do in there? Oh yeah, I mean, I'd have made that same. You're involved with it all the time, and Jameson got involved, and it did turn his life around. He had suicidal thoughts, and got involved in this, and he read about it on his own. He saw it on the internet, and he signed up and told his fiance, "I think I found something." And Jameson now works for sports, and he stays involved with officiating all year long, which is terrific. And it's that type of story that Bill and I are looking for. I mean, it's that type of thing. Ultimately, our goal is to get more people involved in officiating. Ultimately, that's our goal, because we recognize the shortage in most all of the sports. But then, almost equally important, the fact is that we give veterans an opportunity to be part of a crew again is is really is really almost just as important. So it's very cool.
Bill, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, yeah. You're still coming in a little moment slow, so sorry for the delay there. But yeah, Mike said it all very well. I would just say I know that like we've used the phrase like community and purpose and passion, and when you reinvigorate a veteran with that purpose, I mean, it's not that you're coming out here saying we're trying to stop veteran suicide or we're trying to help someone with PTSD, but those are the side benefits as to while you're being active and you're outside and you're getting along with the gang and you're meeting after the game to sit there and say what could I have done better. I'm just trying to learn. Those are the things that like it brings you right back into camaraderie with the group while you're on the ship or flying around or in the field. And those things are, it's basically immeasurable, right? I mean, you could probably go with some statistics here and there, but one person, we save one person, that's an unbelievable, unmeasurable side benefit to what we're actually doing. So definitely proud to be part of that.
Yeah, and I love how both of you brought it together, and I could say as somebody I suffer from PTSD. Obviously, I'm not a veteran. I got into a couple of really horrific car accidents, and I was in denial for a while. I sought professional care because I didn't know what the heck was going on with me mentally, and I always just associated it with veterans, with police officers, and things like that. And they're like, no, that it's something that it's how your mind. I'm lost for words right now, but it's real. It's something that can happen to not just veterans. And I know that working the football games, working the sports aspect, just that time frame away, like Mike P was saying, that time frame away, it's keeping my mind now focused on something else. So I'm focused on that game, and I still love the energy of the Friday night lights and working the high school games with the kids and knowing how hard they worked. And it takes my mind off of some of the negativity that could be in the outside world at that point in time. And then, Mike, as you were saying, I sit home and I read the book, and I do silly little podcasts like this just to keep me busy and to keep me enjoying the sport and hopefully help grow the sport. But it's a lot of different things like that has helped me. And this podcast, it takes a little bit of time, but my wife understands that it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I can put my energies towards and hopefully do good for other people that are out there. And it's helped soothe me. So if that's something that becoming an official can help other veterans or other people who possibly, like you said, with PTSD or just who are just searching for something, like you were talking about Jameson, who said he was lost, just to be able to find something and be reinvigorated again. That's just awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I'm glad your wife understands that. My wife doesn't understand why at age 75 I have an NCAA college rule book on my nightstand. I should have more CJ box or something like that. But we all know to get to once you get involved in this, it just gets so deeply into your blood. And I officiated my first game. In 1971, I officiated my first game. So I've been I've been at this for 54 years. It's changed its form from starting in 1971 doing Pop Warner football games in East Palo Alto to now being a rules analyst on Fox. But it's officiating. It's
Yeah.
officiating, I mean, I have the best job in the world because I'm still involved in officiating. I don't look at it as being involved in football. I feel that I'm still involved in officiating, and my brothers and sisters are out there doing it, and I feel for them. Do I sometimes have to say, oh, I think they were incorrect in that call? Yeah, I do. I do. But it's about educating the fans about the rules of the game and getting them to where they might appreciate officials a little bit more than they have in the past. So, yeah, it's incredible.
So, Mike, you kind of led me into where I wanted to talk to you about. Now, you're working with Fox Sports as the rules analyst, and you've had years of being the VP of officiating with the NFL, and prior to that, being an NFL official, college official. So you've seen a lot of different things. Do you get pushback from other officials because you're kind of critiquing a little bit here and there? I know we're talking about the way to talk, and I've seen what you do. I watch the games on Sunday, so I don't think that you're ripping anybody, but you're kind of critiquing, and it's something that as an NFL official you're going to get graded for anyway after the fact. Am I correct in saying that?
Sure, sure, and I don't get much negative feedback, and I think there's a reason why I don't, because I always said, I mean, I always told them when I went into this business, I said, I'm going to disagree with you, but I promise I will do it respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
I won't use harsh words. I won't say horrible, terrible. I won't say that. And so and I, except for one time, I strayed one time, but we won't talk about that. But otherwise, I've been pretty true to it. But I think here's the thing, and from being on the field in games that where the media is involved, um, you're resentful. I was even on my short on-field career, 2 years. I was resentful when a guy that played quarterback and never officiated in his entire life would criticize you to such a degree that it was basically piling on. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Troy Aikman has always had the reputation of being a guy that is really kind of pounds on the officials, and sometimes they're not even right. And then, secondly, they've never done it, so they don't understand how difficult it is to do. Whereas me, I've done it. I mean,
Yep.
I've done it and I understand. So you you like you can tolerate the criticism a little bit better by somebody who at least has understand it and has done it. And I think that's been pretty true for Sterator and for John Perry when he was doing it with ESPN, and for Dean Blandino, who ran the officiating program. They've lived it. And I think the interesting thing, like even with Troy, I talked to him about that. And then when I was with their crew and I was standing next to Troy, he had a tendency to criticize less, because all of a sudden they have this rules analyst that happened to be standing next to him. So he showed much more restraint. And I think this too, that whether it's CBS or ESPN or Fox or NBC, the fact that the Pereiras and the Blandinos and the Russell Yerks and the Sterators and the Macaulays, but we're teaching them. I mean, I do a teaching tape
Yep.
every week, and I send it out to the NFL announcers on Fox. I send out one to the Big Ten network announcers and the Fox college announcers, and it's all about teaching. So they're teaching videos. I kind of adopted the philosophy in 2010 when I first did this. These are my new officials. These are my new guys, and so and then I spent time with them. And I realized he didn't know anything, for God's sakes. I mean, and you couldn't expect them to. I was officiating since 1971. I've been reading the rule book for 50 damn years. They've never read the rule book. And so they kind of, as a player, just think about situations they may have had. And so I've spent a lot of time actually, trying to teach them. And I do think now that across the board, and of course I'm talking football basically here, that they're better. They're better than they used to be. And I think they realize now they have a better understanding of the difficulty. And they have a better understanding of the fact that, you know, I'm like this crazy guy that says the officials are right 99% of the time. You know, an official, we think about a game, and if you were to take an NFL game, I mean, there's 150 plays in an NFL game. Well, guess what? There's probably 10 different decisions that you have to make on every one of those plays.
Yeah.
So there's 1,500 decisions that have to be made on a football field during a NFL game. More in college. There's 170 plays there. So there's 1,700 decisions. And you know what? You make, to be honest, you make 4 to 5 decisions, incorrect decisions out of 1,500 during the course of a game in real time.
I don't know any test where that would be considered failing right there.
That is
Four
a
mistakes.
That is a fact. And I don't know of any other avocation where somebody's going to hold one mistake against you and forget about the other 1,499 correct decisions. So they're good. We're good. We are good, but we have fallen prey to technology, and so we're more exposed than we've ever been, and fans are more invested than they've ever been. You know, back in the day, I mean, you were a fan of your home team.
No.
Fantasy?
Yeah, fantasy football.
Fantasy football? Yeah, I have my fantasy team, and so you know, I'm now invested because I'm owner of a fantasy team. Gambling? I mean, it may have been illegal and done under the covers before. Now it's legal in so many states. So you're just more exposed, and there's more to it. And players are bigger and faster, right? They are bigger and faster. And generally, I think you can generally say this at this point with the industry, the way it is, players are getting bigger and faster, and officials are getting older and slower.
Yes, sir.
Because we're not recruiting enough new blood in, and we need younger people to get involved to sustain our athletic programs. And that's an issue that Bill's trying to address, that I'm trying to address, that you're trying to address. And it's a battle that's hard to win, but we can't afford to give up the fight.
Yeah, and it's great that you're saying that somebody like Troy Aikman, who I enjoy listening to Troy. I think he does a great job as an analyst for all the different. I don't even know what channel he's with anymore. I'm assuming Fox, but
ESPN.
He's with ESPN. But yeah, sometimes the negativity that come out of, if not the color commentators, just the announcers, and then having you be kind of that little person over their shoulder, like, okay, maybe I should mind what I'm going to say, but just for reminding them, say, hey guys, this is the sport that has paid you a lot of money, that you've loved, that you've put your blood and sweat into. If you want to continue for that sport to grow, kind of curtail on what you're saying, because there is a lot of people that are out there that are listening to these commentators and hearing some of the negativity about it, and then they're carrying that over, and it kind of puts a black eye on all of us as officials. And then the fans think at the high school games, and then especially at the youth games. Mike, you talked about it. You think you've thrown one flag on a coach. I know that I've thrown one flag on a coach, and I had to eject that person. That was at a youth football game, and it was not something that I'm proud of, and that I'm happy that I had to do. But it's something that I had to do because, well, they're sitting there on the sidelines or on a Saturday and listening to the fans scream and yell at the NFL officials or the college officials. And then if the announcer is getting on them also, it's kind of compounding the situation.
I will tell just one quick story with Chris Collinsworth. And again, the announcers not knowing the rules. I loved it. When I was head of officiating, we had our own command center in New York at the NFL offices. And they had a play that came up, and it was where there was fouls by both teams after a change of possession. And so the rules are different on different levels, but in the NFL, they basically offset at the spot of the intercepting team's foul if it was an interception. So Ron Winter was the referee, and he said there's fouls by both teams. And then he just said penalties offset, and he put the ball down, never said anything more. And so, like, they thought that Ron Winter had screwed up. They were supposed to go back and replay the down. And so Collinsworth called me in the command center and said, "What was that?" And I said, "Chris, it was a double foul after a change. So both teams fouled, and by rule, they both offset at the intercepting team spot of their foul, and they keep the ball." He hung up on me. He hung up on me. Then they come back from commercial break, and he said, "Well, let me tell you what that was. That was a double foul after a change of possession, and those penalties offset at the spot of the intercepting team's foul, and they keep the ball there 1st and 10." And we were in the command center laughing our ass off because he repeated every word that I said when he had no idea what the hell happened, before talking. But again, though, I would like to think I speak for all the other rules analysts. At least you got it right.
Yeah.
And that's part of our job, is to make sure they get it right. But sometimes that's funny.
Well, and it's coming from somebody, Chris Collinsworth, that's been involved in the sport. Like you were saying, you've been involved in it for 50 years. Chris Collinsworth, from his playing days to now the broadcasting days, has been involved in this sport probably for a solid, I'm going to say close to 40 years, give or take.
Oh, sure.
And he still doesn't know all the rules. So then he's calling you up all mad and hanging up on you. Now he's somebody who's involved in the sport, let alone somebody who's just a weekend warrior that's just watching it and then decides to rip all the officials, especially now at the high school level, where I do have different rules than Saturday and Sunday afternoon games. So it's something that's always fun in that aspect.
Yeah.
All right. So we're kind of getting close to our 45-minute mark here. So, Bill, I want to turn it over to you one last time. Just on congratulating you with the merger, congratulating on a board appointment here. So that this is all good stuff. Any last words you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on, Mike D, and thanks for having Vets to Refs be part of your Whistle Talk podcast. Hopefully, we can get the B2B promo rolling for Whistle Talk. I could chime into all those stories. I really think it's funny. I do think, at some level, someone could take a look at those differences between high school, college, and pro and see, is there actually a reason for them to be different? Because that is a lot of the frustration from the fans who are watching it, drunk on Sunday, and then they show up on Friday and it's hard to understand all those differences if there's not a reason why. So that's one takeaway. And then I'd also say, I think I shared this idea with you earlier, is Mike, you should push for an official just to be on the air at all times, whether you're interested or not. But I mean, the quarterback angles gets boring after a while. Okay. You got the pre-snap read and you know what the defense is doing. That's great. You're counting people in the box, but there's a lot more to football than just what the quarterback's angle is from the announcer's angle.
Yeah, but these high priced, announcers, color analysts, and they don't like to share the microphone. I mean, they don't like to share the camera. It's all about them. And I found out when I first went to work for Fox, when I first went, it was like a novel, and it was a novelty, right? So, I mean, I would, like, every time there was a sideline catch that was ruled, they would say, "Mike, what do you think about that?" And I'd be in the studios in LA, and it would go to review. I mean, "Mike, what do you think?" Well, I mean, come on. The guy had 2 feet clearly in bounds or with control. There was no question it was a catch. "Mike, what do you think about that?" "Oh, that's a catch." "Mike, you've got 59 in a row now that you're right on. And so then all of a sudden the novelty wore off, and then all of a sudden you only get the hard ones.
Yeah.
And you don't get the easy ones. And then I became cognizant of the fact that I was thankful by my contract that I didn't get paid by the word spoken, because then I wouldn't have made any money at all. But I think you're right, except I think that, the game itself is probably more important than trying to figure out a particular rule. And we're there for the tough ones. But the other thing, I think my last comments would be to both of you and to anybody that's listening to this: where do we need to exert our effort here? Where do we all want the sport to go on, and we all want officiating to go on, and I think really what we got to do. I mean, we can't look at it as one big picture and say, let's attack the whole thing. I think we have to, attack's the wrong word, but I think we have to bring the parents over to our side.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's what happens, and it happens in every sport and every level. Who ends up doing Pop Warner football? First year officials. That's where you put them. You put them. So they're the least equipped to handle a game, and we put them in this area where they're going to get the most abuse. And so they go there and they don't know all the rules yet, and they don't know, and then they're thrust into these parents that are screaming at the sidelines, screaming at their lungs, challenge them, walking out on the field. I think we've got to figure out how to attack that group, because we lose more people to the abuse from the parents, not from the Mike D's, not from him, the coach on the sidelines, not from the players. It's from the parents. So we have to figure that out. And I think that, I mean, if I had my wish, any parent that wanted his kid to play football or baseball or basketball in the youth level, anyone, I don't know what the costs are. I don't really care what the costs are. But any parent that does that has to be by rule of the local association or the local league. They have to agree to officiate 2 of those games, not of their kids' games, but their own kids' game, but 2 other games. They have to attend a class for an hour, and they have to work 2 games. Let them see how difficult it is. And maybe they get a little better appreciation. And then you know what? Maybe they actually put their butts out there and they go, wow, this was fun.
Yeah.
This was fun. When my kid's done playing, I'm going to sign up to become an official. Or maybe they just say, oh shit, this is not for me. Screw it. It's hard. And maybe you don't make any progress with them. But I do think for a group of them, you might. So I just think we have to attack this parents thing and the youth level sports, and because that's where if I'm a guy that's out there and I'm uncertain about what I'm doing, and then I have these parents yelling at me, and maybe like me when I did Pop Warner football in 1971, I got paid $10 a game, $10. I thought it was big bucks then, actually, in 1971. But you know what? Maybe then you think it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. And so you have this horrible retention rate. And through that NASO survey, all the officials, what's the worst group when it comes to sportsmanship? Is it coaches? No.
Nope.
Is it players? No. Is it the administrators? No. That pretty much leaves only
one group. Yep.
So I think that's what we got to attack.
And you got my wheels spinning in my head, because back in the day, I used to run my kids' lacrosse league, and we would have the wee little ones, lax kids and stuff like that, they called it. But we would pull the parents off the sidelines and say, come on, you're going to come coach. You're going to come coach your kid. We're going to give you the drills, and you're going to come coach your kids and see, because we were looking for other coaches. So maybe if we can find something like that at the different levels, come on, you're going to be on the field officiating the game with your kids out there at a lower level and things like that. Maybe that's something that we could work in and try to figure that out, or get one to mirror to shadow another official that's on the field, and let them be in the field and see what's going on and see what we're looking at and things like that. So I like that idea. I think I'm going to see what I can do around my parts here.
That's perfect. I love it.
So, well, gentlemen, I want to once again thank you both for taking the time out of your busy days. And to the listeners out there, Battlefields2ballfields.org, Battlefields, the number 2, ballfields.org. Check it out. I'm going to have it posted on my site. It'll be posted in the notes. If anybody has any questions, they can, Bill, how can people possibly reach out to you? Is it just go to that site?
Yeah, go to that site. There's the email address on there. Let them know you're looking to ask some questions, or I could give you my email address, but I don't know. It needs to go out to every single person. But yeah, definitely check out battlefields2ballfields.org.
All right. Once again, gentlemen, I truly, truly appreciate you guys taking the time out. Check out those sites, ladies and gents. Let's continue to grow this game, grow this sport, grow our community of officials out there. And with that, everyone, have a great day. Have a safe rest of your season, and I will talk to you soon.